So talk a little about that, man, about this, which I think is a really cool thing nowadays, this democratization of access to a quality team, right? Because a guy, for example, with a tank of, I think he's got, I don't know, a certain amount of cash.
He's got 500 rays, 400, even around 300 and something.
He can buy, in this case, the presets and use, it is the same preset.
The captures, right?
The captures, right? So explain a little to the folks, what was this democratization and how interesting it is, how close it gets to having a high-end pedal board versus what you pay there, which is $500, $600.
Okay, so when I took the fractal course, the course started because I began making fractal presets a few years ago, and people started to like them. I'm a guy who really likes to listen to feedback. It's not just me who decides if something is good, it's the person who's buying, man. There's no point in going to a dealership, buying a car, and the guy who sold it to you saying the car is good, you are the one who has to say if it's good. You are the customer. So people started saying, man, your presets are really good. Why don't you launch a course? Then I launched the course. Then the cheaper pedal boards started coming in because not everyone can afford a fractal. And then, wow, is it only those who have a fractal who can get a good sound? No, on the contrary, sometimes a guy with cheaper equipment gets more sound than someone with a fractal, and it's true. And I even joke with the guys, when I take a fractal, it's interesting, when I take a fractal to a show, I even get scared because I say, man, I'm with a Ferrari, I have to get the best out of it this here, because soon I'll see a guy who's going to play after me and I'll be embarrassed. Man, the guy will get a better sound than I do, and he can get a better sound than I do, because it's not just the pedal board. It's how you play, how you equalize. And then there started to be a lot of demand, right? For the Tank G, there was the Q wave for which I made a preset. But the Q wave is not the Tank G, man. A lot of people confuse the Tank G with the Q wave. It's not because the Q wave doesn't have capture. It doesn't have this technology to be able to capture for me. What holds value in the Tank G is the capture technology. Without it, it wouldn't have this value, in my opinion. Because that's the value of the Tonex as well. Who would buy the Tonex if it didn't have the capture technology? I believe it wouldn't have as much value. What is the Kemper? What makes the Kemper so respected and so good? Today I tested one. It's precisely the profilers being able to copy there, right?
But I think I agree with you, but I don't think it's honestly about the person doing it. The capture and the captures that have already been made, right?
They've already been made, right? Okay, fine, folks. And why am I saying this? Because I notice on the internet that many people don't understand what's good about the tank of, what is it that I want to buy a G1 tank? And then it arrives at their house, they turn it on. When I turned it on, man, I thought it was really bad, very bad. Like some that don't exist in a region where there isn't any broad one. So, because it's a capture they created. I don't know who created it, the Chinese, I don't even know for sure. I want to say it's fair, but it has nothing to do with Fender. Then, when they launched this possibility of capturing, I said, man, I'm going to test it. And then when I did my capture, I took my fractal with the Blogs preset, right? That I created, that I play, that people really like. And I'm even selling this blog preset too. And then I said, I'm going to make the first capture of the blog, right? Man, when I did it and turned it on, I was shocked.
You do it. You made the capture. You just exported the file that you already had the capture.
In short, you go through how it works briefly. The capture, I connect the fractal, open Pro Tools, Logic, Hyper, which is what I do. Then I have an audio, which is an audio from them, from M-Wave, an audio they provide there, an audio full of beeps. I don't know what, like that. Kemper profile, right? That's making some beats. My son at home. What is this, right? Then I run this file. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes through the fractal. So this file, when it comes out of the fractal, it is a signal that is processed by the fractal, and then I have it on one side and the file which went through and came back on the other. So it's like a reamp, right? I take that audio, run it through the fractal with the amplifier on. I turn everything off, the chorus, the preamp, and the cabinet, or just the preamp as well, so I can capture the preamp. I run it through the tank, G. And then comes an original file now, which is the audio I ran through, and the other file that I ran through the fractal and then the port and wave. And now this wave file has a system from M-Wave that transforms this wave file into the AM2 file, which is the file that is recognized in the tank G. Then, after this M2 file, I import it into a 5-to-1, which is their software, and then I make the adjustments. I thought, wow, this capture turned out really well, but when I lower the bass here, it's removing bass from a region that isn't this one.
Is this inside tank jet?
This is already within the system with the tank G connected.
I see.
That's where maybe a lot of people don't want to spend time. And I really like this a lot. I can make the capture and it's close, okay? But I don't want it to be just close. I want to get as close as possible.
So you have to adapt to the reality of the tank G.
Exactly. I, for example, took the Dream, the UAD Dream pedal, and when I turned the bass knob on the Dream, I noticed that it reduces 6 dB at 83 Hertz. And when I did the capture there and I turned the knob on the tank G, it's reducing 3 dB at 70, as for example. Then I go there and set it in the 5.1 that I wanted to reduce 6 dB at 83 Hertz.
But when you, for example, sell these presets for someone to use with the tank G, then you've already done this whole process.
That's why I say the person is buying, it's not just a capture.
They are buying all this that I'm doing, this time dedicated to the capture adapted for the tank G.
Yes. And then it gets very close. But then it comes like this. Okay, but is it the same? Is it fractal? And that's the thing. It's not the same. For the following reason, it's like this. It depends on what the person understands as the same, right? What is the same? Suddenly, if I watch a movie on this TV and you watch it on a 4K, it's the same movie, the same content. But the experience you have on a state-of-the-art TV with absurd image resolution is different. Yes. The difference is that Tech G is a TV, I don't know, it's Full HD, and the Fractal is an Ultra Mega Blaster 4 resolution TV. Already 8K. Here, for example, you have the cameras. So the quality of this image from one camera to another will vary. There are contrasts there and such. So, of course, the audio resolution of a Fractal can't be compared. You have a pedal board of, I don't know, $40, which is about 300 reais, right? When you convert it and all. And you can't compare it with a fractal converter that costs 10,000, man. You can't, it's impossible. So that's the difference. But the question is, who can notice this within a mix? Then I think what also changes a lot is when it comes to the effects part. Then forget it. I tell everyone, you can use the effects of the Tank G, but not there. No, it doesn't reach the next delay, reverb, color. Forget it now. Yes, the AMP capture. There you go. You take an IR that you use on the quad, you use on the fractal, you export that IR from a 4x12 and import it into the Tank G. It's the same go, man. And it's a file that's already ready to be used on any pedal board. It's kind of universal. Any pedal board that reads the tank can read it. The capture is like a dual amp IR, right? Which is what the fractal also does, right? They model the amplifier. It's what I do manually. Let's say I take it there for 83 ratios. I'll lower it here. This is modeling because there are also a lot of terms, right? Like capture profile. But deep down, it's all an attempt to copy. And in the end, capture is not the amp. Capture is the attempt to copy the frequency response that you get from the amplifier here. A double, place it in a room, mic it with a 57 with a 121. We are listening here in the studio. Man, I like this treble. I like this mid-range, this frequency. Let's try now here with the equalizer to simulate this. In fact, there are people who do this, who don't have the technology to go, and you try to simulate one, go with an equalizer. So I can't tell you for sure. I'm not a guy, maybe the most expert to say this, but going deep down, an equalizer is also a filter, right? The speaker itself is a filter. It's an equalizer. I watched a podcast here that had someone who was very specialized in this subject talking, right? What is a speaker? The difference from one speaker to another speaks. So I think we romanticize the terms a lot. Capture profile. But deep down, it's all frequency, man. You understand? So when I make a capture for Tank G, when I create a preset for the GT100, when I make a preset for any pedal board, frequency is the first thing I'm going to try to correct that. Just like with the GT100, I feel that the GT100, the amplifiers are a bit nasal, and that's it. Where is it? Where is the region that gives this nasal sound? Then I learned in the Top 4 course. I'm already recommending it to everyone. Go ahead, buy the course. It tells you exactly what frequency gives this sound. Nasal. If you don't know where the frequency is, you won't be able to remove the nasal sound, right? So you're going to grab it there. A car is a drop in the middle anyway. Then you compensate for that. The guy bought it. People are buying a GTS pack and said, man, what did you do here? It's really good. My pedal board never sounded like this. I said, man, it's frequency. There's no R, there's no capture, but it's frequency. Then comes what you said. You asked me at the beginning, how does all this start? Reference. I have to listen to a double, but I don't have a double, but I have an enigmatic. But I have some friends who played on the double and said that the enigmatic is very close. So if I don't have it, I have to trust someone.
I also think the following. For example, I'm not a guy who's so obsessed. I've been trying to improve. They interested me more, right? I trust my friends, right? What happens, man? When I'm tuning there, I was even talking to Vinicius, and Vinicius was talking about my drive. He said, Mateus, but I see that you solve this. In the ear, Vinicius Rosa, because I was saying, hey, Vinny, man, you're the expert here on tone. He is very much, and Morel was next to him. Here, he said, no, man, but like this. Matthias, even though you're not the expert, you solve it by ear. So for me, that's the truth. I'm not worried about, it's not that I'm worried. I don't necessarily know about frequency or anything. I adjust according to what I hear and go, man, this is the sound I want. There, I got it.
Yeah, and everything works out.
And the explanation for me is empirical, like that. But I also feel increasingly the need to research about it because, man, we want to evolve in everything, right? So, I'm finding it cool. I'm now adopting nanocortex.
Yeah, people are really liking it, right?
Yeah, because my friends have it, so did it cause any problems? I'll go to my friends. Whoever is nearby has it, so I'll buy what my friends have.
And suddenly you reach your sound faster than I do because you identified with that equipment. There's also that, which is the best pedal board. Man, the best pedal board is the one that suddenly takes you where you want to go, maybe to a fractal. You won't get there, and with the Nano, you got there faster. That's why I like to mess with various pedal boards. People ask me, hey, why are you using the fractal with the UADs? Man, do you know what's happening? I'm redoing my tones all on the fractal because the UADs are giving me a new amplifier reference. Man, the dream is making me change my Fender Deluxe presets on the fractal. Because the fractal comes with a bunch of buttons.
Aren't you just with the enigmatic?
No, I'm with the Lion, I'm with the enigmatic, the hub, and the dream.
Got it.
And they're already asking me for the Mesa Boogie and the Ant, which is the PIV, right? 5150. But there's no more room. I'm not going today. But I think it's cool because there's still that, my packs. It's not just like, oh man, make a pack that seems close. No man, I invest. I even get the pedal. Which pedal? Do people around the world think comes closest to the AMP? I go there and buy it because I think the more access you have to reliable things, like buying a cheap pedal that claims to be a Fender simulation that assures you it's close. What assures me is a blog, right? So why did I come to the Toto show? I want to hear, man, a Steve Lukather blog. For me, that's not it. I go to the show for my investment. That's in my, and kind of my hearing because I wanted the precepts. So, man, I'm going to recreate my blog precepts, right?
After yesterday's show, but then tell me, man, I want a striking feature for you of the blog, right?
Man, it's hard to explain with words, but I was surprised yesterday. Because when I watched Steve Lukather on YouTube and such, I had an idea of his tone. And yesterday I got a different idea